When does one become a man? Does it just happen? Is it at puberty? Is it when he kills his first buck?
Hey!
Is it when he drinks his first beer? Or does it take a woman to make a man? And where do you fit into all this, Dad? And that's where this book comes in, Raising a Modern Day Knight. The first chapter of this book is titled, Manhood. Don't let your son leave home without it. When your son leaves home, will he know that he's a man and what it means to be a man? The author of this book believes that fathers are failing in 3 specific areas. We are not giving them a clear, inspiring, biblically grounded definition of manhood. Telling a boy to be a man without giving him a definition of manhood is like telling someone to be a success without telling them how to be successful. The second way, we lack a directional process that calls our sons to embrace the manhood they should be able to define. In most households in America, this does not even exist. It is just given up to chance. And I am not willing to give my sons up to a chance or luck. What he really needs is training that'll take him to a place, just as the Apostle Paul said, when I became a man, I did away with my childish ways. And the third way that he says that we are failing is the absence of ceremony. To give them a point of reference that they will always be able to look back on and say, at that time and place, I became a man. Where the men in his life spoke truth and wisdom into his life and welcomed him towards or into manhood. These are powerful moments that will solidify your son's manhood, which my son is a long way from manhood. You're a boy. There's a fish jumping beside me. Where can we look to find an example to follow? The Medieval Knights. The Medieval Knights. The Medieval Knights gives us a great outline to follow as we lead our sons on the journey to manhood. Why is the knight such a good example? I'm glad you asked. Because of a little thing called chivalry. You remember all the knights saving the damsel in distress, treating ladies right, telling the king, "Oh, you have my sword." You know whose side he was fighting on. Just like the cowboy. When a cowboy says, "You got my word," you can bank on it. You can take that to the bank and cash it in, because he's going to do that. Whatever he said, it's done. Those are things that are called ideals. Something to strive for, a point of reference, something to shoot for. That's what an ideal is, and that's what we have to give our sons. A sense of purpose, a sense of right and wrong. These ideals will shape your boy's identity. They will motivate him to a higher level of excellence. The ideals that you instill into your son will be his moral and spiritual beacon throughout his life. The boy that pursued knighthood followed a clearly marked path. At age 8, the boy became a page. He moved away from his home, away from mama, into a castle where the knights lived. At age 14, the page became a squire. And then he lived and traveled with the knight. And he is kind of the knight's servant, and the knight trained him. Then when the squire turned 21, he was eligible to become a knight. From page to squire to knight, the boy could always envision his path. He knew his process, and he could pursue his dreams. We're going to take this example from the knights, and we're going to apply 4 stages to our son's journey to manhood. We're going to take the page stage, the squire stage, the knighthood stage. Mr. Lewis adds a 4th stage, the promise and oath stage, the stage that you enter when you get married. Each one of these stages builds on the previous one, and they all are meant to push your son towards manhood and towards godliness. Don't forget about ceremonies. Ceremonies were a big part of the knight's life, and they'll be a big part of your son's life as well, serving as powerful landmarks that he will always be able to remember. Robert Lewis will teach us the importance of the round table, which is your community of men speaking into this journey, pushing you all towards the goal of manhood. In an abundance of counselors, there is victory. You can find that in the Bible, in Proverbs 11:14. He goes on and talks about the knight's legacy. We'll talk about that later. If you guys have any questions, advice, concerns, leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to you. If this speaks to your heart, please subscribe, follow us. Continue along this journey with us. We're going to take each one of these stages, all these topics, and we're going to talk about them in more detail in coming weeks. We're going to break it all down, and we're going to look at each part. So if this inspires you, if this encourages you, if you know of someone that this information can help, please get it to them. Please subscribe to this channel and follow us so that you don't miss out on any of this information. And my hope and my prayer is that this channel will inspire you to become a better dad.